again, everybody, and welcome to episode 19 of the Stone Age Gamer Podcast. I am Chris, and I am your host. With me tonight, as always, is Dean.
Castlevania.
Dan.
Good evening.
And Tiff.
Hi.
Hi. How's everyone?
Can we call me
tonight?
Maniac Marshall from now on?
Maniac Marshall? That's a lot of syllables.
Can we call you Maniac Mansion?
Ooh, let's microwave some hamsters.
And the podcast is off to a great start.
Anytime we talk about microwaving hamsters and or LucasArts games, I'm in. Tonight, we're going to talk about all kinds of good stuff. Particularly, we're going to be talking about video game movies after the break. But before we get to any of that, we're going to do our usual what we've been playing. So we're going to take a quick trip around the room that we are not in because we're recording this via Skype and ask each other what we've been playing. So, Dan, kick us off. What have you been playing?
Well, I have been playing, actually, what I'm currently playing, because it's in my hand, because I'm very unprofessional. Limbo. It was one of the free PlayStation Plus games, because I'm a cheap bastard and don't like to spend money on things. And I think it was free last month. And it's really hard. It's really cool. I'm really enjoying it. It's what the game is.
Oh, wait. Let me guess. You're at a luau, and you have to bend over backwards to get under sticks.
Yes, and you have to use the PlayStation Eye, and I'm not very flexible. And things are coming off the rails in a big, bad way.
Wow.
No, it's the game, the art direction on the game is really, really cool. It's all black and white. And you're the main character. You play what appears to be...
It's not just black and white. It's in silhouette.
Yeah. You appear to be a young boy who kind of wakes up in this forest, and the forest is out to kill you in really horrible, hideous ways. So you're running through this game, and it's a side-scrolling platformer, and it's like a puzzle platformer. And there's a lot of no in this game. Like there's a lot of times where you're running through, in the very first section of it, you're running through the forest, and you get to a tree, and as you get close to the tree, a giant, massive giant spider starts like flicking its legs out at you, and it's like, hello, I'm here, I'm a spider. And if you get too close to the spider, it impales and then just flings your body back onto the screen. It's like, all right, I got to figure out how to get around this spider. And then it goes into a whole bunch of like little platforming sections and puzzle sections where you have to jump over logs and push logs into a river because you can't swim, you'll drown. There's like bear traps in the game that take your head off. Like the bear traps are the perfect height to hit you right in the neck, and your head just kind of rolls along the ground. And I feel really bad every time this little boy dies. Like I keep playing it, and I'm like, this is a really cool game, but I'm feeling kind of bad that I keep killing this little kid because I am dying a lot in this game. It's really just like trial and error. You know, that there's no direction given. Like you start the game and the boy wakes up in this forest and you go, right? So it's all just trial and error, but it's really strikingly beautiful the way the game is designed. Like I said, it's silhouette, it's all black and white and gray, and the background is kind of misty and foggy, and it's just really, really cool looking, and it's really fun to play and really challenging, and I'm really digging it. And I'm kind of sad that I waited this long to play it because it was like, it's the free Vita game or one of the free Vita games, whatever, I'll get it. And kind of ran out of things to play and was like, all right, but whatever, I'll fire this up. And it's like, damn, I've been sitting on this thing for like a month or two now. I should have been playing this before.
I've been told many times that I need to play this game, and I'm looking at some screenshots of it right now. And you're right, it is rather breathtaking looking. It is on lots of different platforms, several of which I have. Vita seems the most likely since I packed away my PS3 and 360, and I'm not getting it on iOS because I like buttons. You have anything else you've been up to this week?
Destiny. At the same time, you know.
That's still going well for you?
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed Destiny. I just started this week dipping my toes into the multiplayer aspect. And the multiplayer is really fun. I'm really terrible at it, but I'm still having a good time with it. And I really do like the game. But it's a lot of fun. I still highly recommend Destiny.
Excellent. So let's move on. Dean, what have you been up to?
Well, Chris, I'm happy you asked that. Firstly, I should probably go with the thing that doesn't involve beating the shit out of Nintendo characters. I got a key for a game that I kickstarted a while back called Pier Solar, which was a how do I put this? A 25-year-old new release Sega Genesis game. Does that sound right? Yeah,
sure.
What it was is they made this game like 6 years back called Pier Solar, and it was for the Sega Genesis. It came out on a cartridge. You had to pay $50, $60 to get one, and it was an awesome RPG. It's like 40 hours long, had great graphics, great music, but the only way to get it was if you bought a cart, and the carts were very expensive, and they increasingly became more and more rare because the company stopped making them. So what they did was they're like, hey, we want to make an HD remake, but we need help doing it. If you guys fund us, we'll make it on so-and-so systems. We'll give you guys codes when it comes out, and it's all yours. And I looked up some original stuff about the game. I looked up some screenshots from the old one. I looked up screenshots from the HD remake coming out. I checked out some of the songs and everything. By the way, the music in this game is fantastic. And it came out really good. They emailed me my key for it 2 or 3 days ago, and I've been playing it for a little bit. Again, it's an RPG, so in my limited time, I've only played maybe 5 or 6 hours total. And I've had a lot of fun so far. I can't even really go into the plot that much because, to be honest, I'm not even that far into it to tell you what the plot is. But the battle scheme is kind of like old school Final Fantasy. It's very turn-based. You have your spells, your main attacks, your super attacks. You have group attacks and everything. You can use items to heal. You can run away from battles and everything. So that is very reminiscent of Final Fantasy, just the series in general. However, the graphics are very, very nice. They redid everything. The backgrounds, the character sprites, the sound effects, the music, whole 9 yards, complete revamp. And it's been a great experience so far. And I think it's only $15 on Steam. So if you want a really long RPG with great graphics and so far what I think is a pretty decent story, it's definitely worth the money. The characters are really bright and funny. The game likes to make fun of itself too, which is cool. It has a lot of humor in it, even though it's mixed with a serious storyline. So I've had a great time checking it out. And yeah, again, it's Pier Solar. It might be called HD on the end just because this is the HD remake.
Nice. So, dare I ask what else you've been playing?
You know what? Why don't we save that? Why don't we let Tiff go and then
You guys are so
circle back.
cute. Like you don't know.
Yes, Tiff, what have you been up to?
Well, I appreciate you letting me go first because I'm certainly not going to top any Nintendo character beat 'em ups. But I've been playing the Brothers Layton Mystery Room. It's kind of like a Professor Layton light, which sounds kind of strange because Professor Layton's really not that involved of a game. But it's kind of nice because it gives you the opportunity to just pick it up for little bits here and there. You don't really have to invest a lot in the story because the individual cases are very much standalone. There's not an overreaching story arc like there is in Professor Layton, where each little thing that you solve adds to the bigger thing. These are very standalone cases. It is the professor's brother, Alfendi, and he is a young, up-and-coming crime solver that is a part of I forget what they call it in the game, but it's basically like the cold case files. And he's got a new young protege, and they just go through and pick the old cases, and he makes her feel stupid, as any good Layton should do. And it's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. The only downside to it is that every 3 cases, they come in like 3 case packs. So the first 3 cases are free, like any good drug dealer would be. And then the next 3 cases, I think, is $2.99, and then the 3 after that is $1.99. So it is a little nickel and dimey. I don't know when they're going to stop. They've only released 2 additional packs at this point, but they seem to be they'll continue releasing new packs as long as people keep buying them. So I don't know how much money you would end up dropping on the whole thing if and when they decide to go 25 cases in, but it's really no different than going out and purchasing a Professor Layton game out of the gate. You're just kind of doing it in installments.
What platform is this for?
I'm playing it on my phone. I think there is a PC version, and I want to say that there is a portable version, but I don't know who.
This was done by Level 5, the same folks who do
yeah.
the
Yeah.
Wow.
Wait, so you're
Yep.
telling me I could play Professor Layton on my computer?
Yes, you can.
I
Well,
like
Professor Layton's brother.
Professor Layton's brother.
Oh, his douchebag lackey brother. Okay,
Yes.
I'm disinterested already. Did the new Layton Phoenix Wright game come out?
Yes, it did.
Okay, I'm gonna try and pick that up because I definitely want to talk about that next week.
It is only on iOS and Android, this Layton Brothers Mystery Room, by the way.
Oh, is it? I
was,
thought, man, when I first started hearing that it was coming out, I think they were talking about trying to do maybe Vita or something else, but apparently they decided not to.
Seems like the game was originally designed for Nintendo DS.
Oh,
That's
okay.
interesting. Yeah, just showed up on iOS for some reason. Neat.
It's surprisingly fun, and it's surprisingly Layton-ish for an iOS game. I mean, I popped it on there just because I saw that it said Professor Layton, but I thought that it was going to be silly and dumb, and I was going to put it right back down again, but it's a pretty similar dynamic. The only thing that's different is that you don't travel. You know, like in Professor Layton, you cross the map, and every time you get to a new house or a new place or whatever, there's a new thingy to uncover. This one isn't like that. You're in the cold case file room and people come to you. So that's really the only thing that's different. Other than that, it's pretty similar. I don't know. I like it. Give it a shot.
Cool.
The first three cases are free. So if you don't like it, you don't have to pay for it. But I think it's worth it.
Nice. I'll probably download that in the not too distant future. So anything else you've been up to?
No, not really. Our tablets have been having issues with the charger, so thankfully I have been spared any Palace Pets and the like for this week.
All right, then. I guess we'll move on to what I've been playing. First and foremost, I finished The Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds. After very, very much time, very elongated process. I've had it since close to when it came out. Actually, I got it at Christmas last year. So I've been steadily and slowly playing it this entire time, and I finally beat it. And I mentioned on the show previously that I wasn't as in love with this game as most people seem to be, and I do really like this game. It is a wonderful game. I think it stays a little bit too close to its source material. It's retreading a lot of ground that A Link to the Past did, but it's got some very clever puzzles. It's got an interesting aesthetic. I wasn't totally in love with the character designs, but I kind of like the way the world looks. It's good. It's cute. There were some great twists at the end that I didn't see coming, which doesn't happen very often in Zelda games. They're with the plots are usually fairly straightforward. They're usually interesting, but not like surprising. And this one threw a couple of genuine surprise curveballs at the end, and the whole end sequence was very cool. But I've also played a little bit of the Retron. I'm not ready to give my full final review on the Retron 5 yet, but I did. I played a bunch of different games on it just to see what works and what doesn't. Some of my repro carts do, some they don't. A lot of weird stuff works flawlessly. It looks great on my television. There is still some button lag, which is problematic, but it's no worse than what you would get with the Wii U Virtual Console, so it's not unplayable, and they look so pretty, it's hard to get mad at it. Like, I played Yoshi's Island on it, and Yoshi's Island is one of the most beautiful games ever created, and it looks so nice on an HD TV. It was wonderful to see. It was really wonderful to see. But I am going to be spending a lot of time with it and Pokemon eventually, since I made the decision after much deliberation and many different things pointing me in different directions. I am finally going to play a Pokemon game. I'm going to try to put my Pokemon card anger and rage behind me and give this franchise a serious shot, starting with Pokemon Blue, and I'll be detailing my escapades with Pokemon Blue via the Retron 5 on Geek Life. But the primary thing I've been playing for the last day is Super Smash Bros. For 3DS.
Yeah!
Which is wonderful so far. It is absolutely wonderful. I will say that it is tough to play on the small screen. I mean, I have an XL, so the screen's not that small, but there's something about the way this game moves, how it's so fast. It kind of gives me a headache after a while, and after I have a headache for a good long while, it gets worse and worse and worse, and last night I played so much that I made myself sick. I almost threw up from playing this game last night, but I didn't want to put it down because it's Smash Brothers handheld.
That's the best recommendation you can get. I played this so much, I made myself sick.
I tell you, I haven't done that since the Virtual Boy.
Ho, buzzing. I love my Virtual Boy.
I do miss mine. I miss mine a lot. I did enjoy the seizure-inducing nausea.
I liked a lot of the games on that platform, man. I wish they would port them to something that's a little bit easier to play. We should do a
I think
Virtual
I only
Boy
ever had
episode.
tennis.
Oh, Mario's Tennis was fun. That was the first Mario Tennis game. Nobody ever gives it credit for that. I wonder why.
Because everybody that liked it died.
Well,
I'm pretty sure I didn't wear glasses before the Virtual Boy came out. Anyway, back to Smash Brothers. So when I got the demo for Smash Brothers a little while ago, I was super impressed with their handling of Mega Man. I think I talked about it on the show. They did a wonderful job with Mega Man, and I had a hard time. I was having a hard time imagining there being another character on the game that I would play as much as Mega Man, and I've only played with him once since I got it because there's so many characters in the game. I'm trying everybody out, and so far it seems so well balanced, and all the characters seem to have so much more going for them than in Brawl. Like there were characters in Brawl I just didn't care to play with because they just didn't work for me. And Ganondorf was one of them. I've never been good with that character, but I played with him in this one, and they powered his stationary moves up quite a lot, and at least that's what it seems like to me. I know if there's any actual hardcore Smash players out there, I am not one of you. I am insanely hardcore into Smash Brothers as a Nintendo museum and a chaotic, extremely enjoyable experience. But when it comes to, Fox versus Falco, Final Destination, no items, that's not for me. Because that's not what this game's about for me. Like, I really like Little Mac. Little Mac is really cool.
My favorite part is when he gets the KO punch and it goes ding ding. I'm like, oh man, here it comes.
And what's so great about that is that that's a reference to the arcade version of Punch Out, which is so awesome. It's the more damage you deal out, the higher this meter goes, and when you get it all the way up, the more damage you take or dish out, you build up this meter and you have a one-punch knockout. Like in the arcade game, you had this, uppercut knockout button, kind of like the Star Punch and Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. But, man, you connect with that thing, all the music goes silent, and it's just like insta-death. It's so cool. He's really fast, but he's got no recovery, which is why so far, out of all the characters I've played, Pac-Man is my favorite.
I haven't played him yet.
Pac-Man is so cool. He's got this great move where he turns into I think he holds out his hand and pellets come out like in a Pac-Man stage, and you can direct them. Like he stands still, he holds out his hand, and the pellets come out, and you can kind of direct this little path. And then when you let go of the button, he turns into classic Pac-Man and follows the trail. And it's kind of like a recovery move for him, where you can launch yourself back onto the stage by following this trail of pellets and stuff. I think you can do that. I haven't spent a whole lot of time flying off the stage with Pac-Man yet, but his just moveset is so nice. He's got a really good weight to him, and he fits right into this Smash Brothers world. And they've done so much outside of just Pac-Man to kind of make him fit in with the world. Like there's a Galaga item where this little Galaga ship thing will show up and do that little wave thing and just grab a character and fly them off the screen. Pac-Man throws fruits, like the sprites for the fruits and stuff at the guys, and he uses ghosts as weapons, and it's hilarious to watch him play. But his stage is fantastic because his stage works like a Pac-Man stage. It looks like a Pac-Man arcade stage. And the pellets keep appearing all over the place, and each character, everybody who's playing, can get more pellets, and when you get enough of them, then you get more powerful, and you can get the power pellets, and all the ghosts in the background stage are no longer hazards to you, because you can bounce off the ghosts and stuff as they're rolling through the stage. But if you get enough power pellets, then they go blue, and then you can kind of knock them around, and it's so good. It's so much fun. I've barely scratched the surface. I'm just trying to unlock all the characters straight away, and the only ones I'm missing are Rob and Jigglypuff. And that's it. Dean, you've also been playing Smash Brothers. What are your impressions? What have you been doing in it?
Well, I've actually done a few things online, and that's probably my biggest pet peeve, which I was expecting, was that just Wi-Fi can't cover it sometimes. And some matches I have are really, really great against people. Other matches I have are completely atrocious. It starts jogging through like really, really slow. There'll be some load times in between, but the menu selection, getting your character chosen, getting the maps chosen is super smooth. Just sometimes gameplay can suffer because, again, it's wireless. We're not on a hardwired connection. I can understand why it lags, so that's understandable. However, I did play locally on this one. A friend came over, and I did play for a bit, and it was smooth as butter, just like the demo, and I was super happy about that. I checked out a bunch of the single-player modes. I checked out, the classic mode, which is just the regular N64 one where you get all the way to the Master Hand, which was cool. I did the other mode. Chris, you got to help me out here with what it's...
You talking about Smash Run?
Yeah, where you get to the Master Hand. Is that Smash Run?
Well, when you get to Master Hand, that's the classic mode.
Okay,
that's what I've been playing because
right.
that's how you unlock a lot of the characters.
Right. Smash Run is the one where with like 1984 and it does like all the dates and ages for the characters and everything.
I think so. I haven't played it yet.
Yeah,
all I've played is classic
gotcha.
mode to unlock characters. That's all I've touched.
I'm not entirely sure what it's called, but what it is it groups up a 5-man team against you, and they come down like, after you kill 3 of them, another 1 will come down, or another 2 will come down, or whatever, and you gotta keep fighting them. But they come down in age groups. It's sort of like a survival mode, more or less, and you have a certain amount of health pickups that you can get throughout the levels to make it through to the end. Basically, you're fighting all the characters throughout Nintendo's history. So it starts with, Punch-Out, Mario, I think like Legend of Zelda, and then it goes on to the next age, which is, I think, like Zelda, Sheik, Marth, and a couple other people, and Peach and Samus. And then it goes on to the next stage and the next stage, and it gives the dates that you're fighting these characters in, or the release date realm that you're working in. So it starts in, I think, like 84 to 89, then it goes 89 to 94, 94 to 99, 2000 to 2004, and so on and everything. And it's really, really cool. You get to collect trophies that way, different power-ups and whatnot. And like I said, you only have a certain amount of health pickups to do this with. There's a Mario tomato, a heart recovery, and the Navi bottle.
A Mario tomato?
I'm sorry, not Mario tomato. It was a Kirby.
Oh, the magic tomato.
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry.
I was going to ask what a Mario tomato
I
was.
played a lot of the Mario games, and I don't remember there being a
no,
tomato. There was a turnip at one point.
I'm sorry. I'm a little under the weather tonight, so that's my apologies. But
you should have some Mario tomato soup.
I should have some Mario tomato soup. I'm gonna slap my knee after this is done. Where was I with this? To wrap it up, the game's great. I've been playing a lot of single player. I've played online a little bit, but the people I go up against are much, much better than me. This is a game I'm definitely gonna be playing for a while, especially because a massive amount of my friends have it, and including you, Chris. So yeah, I feel like this is something that I'm gonna be playing for a pretty long time.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be playing it pretty much till the Wii U version comes out, which, I mean, that is something I definitely feel about this game as I'm playing it, that it seems like it's the appetizer for the main course that will be the Wii U version. But it is a damn tasty appetizer. It's a sampler platter. It's the kind of thing that you would...
mushrooms and everything?
Oh, yeah. It's. I mean, I hate mushrooms, but I mean, Mario's in it, so obviously there's stuffed mushrooms.
How can you be a Nintendo fan and hate mushrooms?
I like looking at mushrooms. I just don't like eating them.
Mm-hmm.
They're so
Communist.
cool. They're like, they grow and they're all like funky looking and they got all those little lines and stuff. I love mushrooms. They're so cool. But man, you put one of those in food, I'm like, hell no. I ain't eating that crap.
That's a fungus. You shouldn't eat a fungus.
Gross. Give me a Mario tomato any day.
Now, okay, so I have a question because
I have
I'm
no
just
response to that.
I'm gonna leave that one alone. So I don't play I don't like the 4-player run around, beat the crap out of everybody.
You're calling Chris and Dean button mashers. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah. I play fighting games that require actual skill. Smash Brothers, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, I think it was called. There was one that came out on Xbox too that was like a 4-player thing. Is there anything in this iteration of Smash Brothers that is going to convince me otherwise?
I sincerely doubt it, but I also don't think you have... I don't think you understand this game very well. Because it's not... it's not a button masher. It's it is very funny when like Zero Punctuation or whatever says, "No, I just threw my Wii remotes down the stairs and I achieved the same results." You kind of don't. It is a fighting game. It is chaotic. It's a fighting game in the same way that Mario Kart's a racing game. There are a lot of chaotic elements to it, but as evidenced by the fact that there are psychotic people out there that play this on Final Destination with no items and just Fox, and there are mechanics to the game. There are ways to be good at it and ways to be bad at it. And I don't know, I feel like if you gave it the time, you might enjoy it, because unlike something like, say, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 that has 56 characters in it, those characters are very similar in a lot of respects. In Smash Brothers, there's
Right.
a lot of characters play extraordinarily differently from one another, like intrinsically different, even though the way you perform their moves are all the same, which makes it easy to pick up. Everybody plays so different, it's very easy to be good with one character and complete rubbish with another. I would say that because of the character selection in this game, you might find somebody that it triggers an understanding of how it's not a button masher and understanding the way the game is played, and then you might enjoy it. But still, I would wait for the Wii U version, because this kind of game is, and I hate to say this, I feel like it's kind of wasted on a handheld, because it's great to be able to take this game with you wherever you go, and that's wonderful. Like, it's great to be able to take Street Fighter with you everywhere you go. But the big difference between something like this and Street Fighter is that Street Fighter is two characters facing off against one another in a finite amount of space. There's only so far away you can get from one another. But in Smash Brothers, because of the amount of chaos that's involved and how far you can get away from somebody else, because it kind of reminds me more of almost like Power Stone to an extent, where there's a lot of spatial reasoning in it. Whereas something like Soul Calibur, where you can move 360 degrees around your other characters, and you have to really pay attention to where you are in relation to the other person, and you can have these great moments where you can be really far away from each other and then rush in and attack. Smash Brothers, there's platforms to get on and hide underneath, and because it's in 2D, the stages can get very big, and you can stay far away from each other and play a projectile game. You can do all kinds of stuff like that. And because of that, and like I said before, I got sick playing the game because there's so much to pay attention to. At least for me, I really have to focus on it. And especially when you're playing a 4-player match and there's 3 other opponents out to get you or out to get one another, keeping track of all these different people while keeping track of you and your damage and recovery and what's going on in the stage, I feel like it's hard to keep track of on a handheld.
No, you're right, Chris. You're very right. It's I have a regular DS, so it's an even smaller screen, and it's very, very difficult to focus on everything because it is on such a small screen. I've seen a few people on YouTube now that have actually, I guess, mods and stuff ready to put this onto a television, have a GameCube controller, which is asinine because the actual Wii U version is coming out in about a month anyway, so I don't see the point. But people have done that, and to be honest, I have the same problem where I do start getting a headache after a while, and I can play it for about like an hour or so, and then I do have to put it down. Do I want to put it down? No, but I have to because I'd rather not get sick.
The lack of a second analog stick I find to be problematic as well. There's one of the reasons for the game being called Smash Brothers is that there's a specific type of move you do called a smash move. As opposed to, say, something like PlayStation Battle Royale or a lot of other fighting games, it's not so much about depleting another character's life bar. The point is to deal a lot of damage so that you can launch the character with some sort of smash move. And they call them smash moves because you smash the analog stick in one direction. You have like a regular attack, and you press a button and he attacks. Or if you're pressing forward and you attack, it does something different. But a smash attack is something that's almost like a charge move, and that is like that's a haymaker. That's a move that's going to launch your character really far, and they come with certain risks as well. The analog stick has always been mapped to do those smash moves since the N64 version didn't have a second analog stick. This started in Melee, where the second analog stick will be able to just perform smash moves without having to smash the analog stick, kind of opening up your opening up your repertoire, as it were, as far as things that you can do. It feels more controlled to be able to have those moves mapped to an analog stick. And since this doesn't support Circle Pad Pro and there is no innate second analog stick on the 3DS, it does kind of hurt it a little bit, in my opinion. But again, these are nitpicking things. Will this get somebody new into Smash Brothers? I don't know. I would definitely wait for the Wii U version, because there's going to be something magical about seeing all these characters in a cohesive art style in HD on your television screen together. There's going to be something magical about that, no matter how you slice it, if you've got any love for Nintendo at all. But this is not the best iteration of Smash Brothers that I can imagine, and I feel like the Wii U version is going to be that.
Yeah, I mean, I really do want to like it. And I've tried every iteration of Smash Brothers. What is it? There's 3 so far: Smash Brothers, Melee, and Brawl.
Yep.
Yeah, I've played every one, and each time I play it, I go, nope, still don't get it. And like I look at this one and I'm like, man, Mega Man's in it, and Pit, and Little Mac, and I really do want to like this game because I grew up on Nintendo. I love all of those characters. I don't know, man. I just can't get into it.
Yeah, tell you what, when I get the Wii U version, we're all going to sit down, we're going to play it together, and it's going to be super fun.
Okay. I'm in.
All right, and with that, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about some video game movies. Stick around. And welcome back, everybody. It's time for us to discuss video game movies. And when I say video game movies, I mean movies based on video games. So while eventually we may talk about things like Flight of the Navigator and Tron and The Wizard, today we're talking about the ones that are directly based off of video game properties. And I'm going to open up the doors and I'm going to say Super Mario Brothers the movie. Let us discuss.
Dennis Hopper,
Fabulous
best
movie.
Bowser ever.
Yeah. Love everything about the Mario Brothers movie.
In reality, I kind of don't like the movie. I watched it. Had to be maybe last year,
okay.
and I'm not a fan anymore.
Ah, you crazy.
Why are their heads so small?
Because their heads were designed to actually look like the sprite. Like, if you just look at the heads look like the Goombas, and then
No,
the rest
sure.
of it goes on
Okay.
top of
But
it.
like, but
You
but
guys
in
are talking about the
relation to
Goombas now. The
Yes.
Goombas are the mushrooms. Little Goombas are mushrooms. Those are Koopa Troopas that they called Goombas in the movie.
Yeah. That's the thing I'm referencing though, and like their heads, I get that it was supposed to look like the Pixar, but like it's
the
it just didn't
de-evolution gun.
work.
Yeah, dinosaurs had tiny heads.
It just didn't work though. Like, no.
And the tiny
From
little,
an
the tiny little
aesthetic
bob-ombs,
standpoint.
the little wind-up bob-ombs
Oh,
that
the
had their
bob-omb
little
was
wind-up
great.
legs. So cute.
That's great. I mean, look.
My
as,
only
as a
complaint with this
super-
movie whatsoever is that Samantha Mathis's eyes are a little too far apart, so she looked a little de-evolved herself. But other than that,
Oh, damn.
fabulous movie.
I hope Samantha doesn't listen to this podcast. She's going to be offended.
I don't think she does. I'm sure she has more important things to deal with.
I don't know. I don't think she's worked since that
Planning the new Super Mario's
fair point.
movie.
Yeah, well, they did set
You
it
can't
up
do
for a
that
sequel,
because Mario's
didn't they?
dead.
Whoa!
Aw.
Oh.
Why'd you
Yeah,
have to go
Bob
there,
Hoskins.
man?
I'm just saying.
Wow. Well, podcast over. Good night, everybody. Check us out on geeklife.com. Thanks for listening. Mario's dead.
Yes.
If only the ending to our show was ever that smooth. Look, as a Super
don't
Mario
get me
Brothers
wrong,
movie,
I'm brokenhearted about it, but the fact remains. There will
Yes.
be no reunion.
Oh,
Yeah,
well.
there's no sequel to Hook on the horizon.
Ooh.
As a Super
Aw.
Mario Brothers movie, this movie is kind of a failure. It's got strange ties to Super Mario Brothers, but as
Oh,
just a
jump boost.
weird sci-fi movie, it's freaking great. First off, this is a strange property to try to adapt. Like no matter how you slice it, this is not the kind of thing that you want to adapt into live action. It's trying to imagine the Mushroom Kingdom for real is terrifying.
And yet, this movie launched the video game movie genre completely. This was the first one.
Is that true?
That's
Was this
true.
the
If you go
yeah.
on the Wikipedia page of video movies based on video games, this is the very first one.
I mean, don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
that's directly based off of
I mean, there
video
might be
game, yeah.
like Pinball Wizard, maybe,
Right.
but that doesn't count.
I mean,
That was an Elton John song.
No, that was a Who song sung by
Oh,
Elton
Who.
John
That's-
for
sorry.
Tommy.
Yeah, okay.
Smacks me.
I find the movie funny. It's just like I look over to I'll pick up a cartridge of Super Mario Brothers and I'll look at Bob Hoskins and
John
John
Leguizamo.
Leguizamo, thank you. And I'm just like no.
Yeah, I could have gone with a little more mustache, but I did like how, even though they never refer to her as Princess Peach, they do call her Princess a few times. But Samantha Mathis sort of has the outfit on, or at least alludes to the outfit the whole time. Like she's always wearing something like vaguely kind of light pink and like. like
Yeah,
how
but
they
what's so strange about that is that they named her Daisy,
Yeah,
which
the
is
fucking shit.
Yeah, who was the yellow dress?
she
one?
was the
Yeah.
princess you saved in Super Mario Land.
Right.
And she was wore yellow and had brown hair.
Well,
so,
we're tying it all
okay.
together. She's an amalgamation
Yeah, it
of both
was-
princesses.
It was a very strange. It was one of those. This movie had a very strange development cycle, and there was actually a bunch of fascinating pieces written on it in issue 3 of Nintendo Force. That was just all about the history of this movie, and it went through several different directors, several different thematic changes. That actually originally it was going to have a lot more in common with its source material. And as the directors changed hands over and over again, the movie eventually turned into what it was. And what a bizarre thing it did turn into. But there were a lot of things that wound up getting lost in translation. And that's how you wind up with weird inconsistencies. Like, Mario's girlfriend out in the real world in Brooklyn, I don't think they ever referred to her as Pauline. If I remember correctly, but that would be something that makes sense because that was Mario's
Yeah.
girlfriend in Donkey Kong, or Peach, Princess Toadstool, whatever you want to call it. And then they made that into Daisy, and she got together with Luigi, who was I didn't really buy him as Italian at all in the movie, but
No, I don't think anyone did.
nah, not so much. But
Wait, are you trying to say John Leguizamo is not Italian?
no, I don't think that he is.
I had no idea.
He's fantastic in Pest, though. I could watch that movie over and over again.
Oh,
Ugh.
wow, you're the one.
God,
Yeah,
you're
you're the
that
one.
guy.
I am
Damn
that
it.
guy. Screw you, dudes.
You're John Leguizamo's fan.
I am John Leguizamo's
Okay,
one
I
fan.
love John Leguizamo, but that movie's terrible.
Two fans.
But see, like, and I kind of get it from something like a Mario Brothers movie because, like, what are we really? If you just take Super Mario Brothers, like, what are we really offering thematically here? Like, how do you make that into a movie?
No,
and
I get it.
and so I can kind of get why some people were just like, well, I'm just going to throw everything at the wall and see what happens to stick, because otherwise, what the hell am I going to do here?
Well,
And I really liked the route that they took with them starting off as plumbers in Brooklyn and then getting sucked into essentially the Mushroom Kingdom. But what was so bizarre about it was what they made the Mushroom Kingdom
well,
be.
yeah, it was like some
Which-
urban, chaotic landscape. I was like,
there was a lot of fungus.
wait, where's the cactus?
Yeah, but it was like it was all dark. It was all mechanical, very, very dystopian. It was weird. It was and the Mushroom Kingdom's weird. But if the Mushroom Kingdom is anything, it's freaking colorful.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
there's mountains and waterfalls, and that's it's this bright, colorful world. And they turned it into this very dreary and dark and twisted place, and it was a strange route to go with it. But then on the other hand, like you mentioned, the Babam, that was great. Yoshi was wonderful in that. He was you would think like a realistic Yoshi would be terrifying, but that little thing was adorable.
He was a little terrifying.
He was a
It's
little
a little
terrifying, but he was
terrifying.
also cute.
He was
I
a velociraptor. It was kind of terrifying.
thought he was adorable.
It almost seems like, and maybe my timeline is off here, but it almost seems like eventually they got to a point they were like, all right, well, we got this Super Mario Brothers property. I don't know what the hell we're going to do with it, but let's throw some money at Dennis Hopper and then just kind of like put it in the same world as Tank Girl.
They didn't have to throw
Yeah, but
money at
Tank Girl
Dennis
didn't-
Hopper. They
Tank
just
Girl
said, hey,
didn't
Dennis
exist
Hopper,
yet.
you want to make a movie? And he'd say, okay. Because Dennis
No,
Hopper would do
I
anything.
think what happened is they
You
all.
do not besmirch the good name of Sir Dennis Hopper.
I
That's
don't
not a
think he's a
besmirching. That is a loving
I think
fact
what happened
about
was
that
I think
guy.
they had
He
5 or
wouldn't
6
say no to
people-
shit, and he would own it.
He would. You could ask him to play Big Bird and like go smack a cat with a baseball bat, and he'd probably say okay.
Like, sure, I'm fucking
Please
down.
don't ask
You
him
know,
to do that.
it was.
I'm not
I
asking-
can't ask
don't
him.
ask
He's
him to do
dead.
I would.
Oh, he is dead.
He
Oh,
is
man.
dead.
Why
Yeah.
is everyone
There's a
dead
lot
from
of
this
dead
movie
people.
except John Leguizamo?
Dead.
And
Well,
well,
Samantha
speaking
Mathis, I
of
think is alive, but her career's not.
and speaking
Burn.
speaking of dead, and man, we could do an entire show on Super Mario Brothers. But another person that would never say no to a role and was a brilliant goddamn villain was the late great Raul Julia in Street Fighter.
I have a quote here from the director of Street Fighter the movie.
Is he apologizing?
No,
I'm
he
fucking
is
drunk.
not
I'm going home.
he really should have been apologizing. Stephen E. D'Souza directed and wrote this movie, and he said, this is his own words, and this is a ballsy guy here, apparently, because he said he did not want to make a generic martial arts movie. He described the Street Fighter film. Again, because I am not clever enough to put these movies together to describe Street Fighter. He described the Street Fighter movie as a cross between Star Wars,
Sure.
James Bond,
I see that, yeah.
and a war movie.
Stop it.
Most definitely.
Stop it.
Most definitely.
And then he said, in addition to that he did not want to just shoehorn elements from the game into the movie. He didn't want to just be like, oh, look, here's a little cameo, and isn't this fun? Like the Super Mario Brothers movie, which totally explains why T-Hawk and DJ are for some fucking reason in the Street Fighter movie.
Oh yeah,
It is-
and I mean, remember how
Oh my
callous it
God.
was in the Super Mario Brothers movie when Dennis Hopper pulled out a Super Scope, and how awful it would have been
I
if-
totally forgot about that.
if Raul Julia was, I don't know, in a floating platform that he controlled using a Street Fighter 2 arcade stick. Wouldn't that have
Oh,
just
God.
been
That
awful?
would've been
Oh
terrible.
wait,
Absolutely
that
terrible.
happened. That was in that movie.
Oh, wait.
And I hope every one of these quotes was followed by, "Dear God, I love cocaine. Give me more cocaine, please."
I think
It's-
he might have upgraded to meth
like,
for that.
okay, how, on what planet, in what universe, in what galaxy do you look at Guile and go, you know what? All-American, blonde, big, giant, spiky-haired dude,
JCVD, man.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Absolutely.
Let's do, just, like,
Don't
I-
even try to lose the accent either. Just
No, well, because
you son of a beach bison.
He is a terrible actor.
Hey,
Don't get me
bison.
wrong, dude. I love Bloodsport. I love
That's
kickboxing.
a really bad movie. I watched it really
Jean-Claude
recently.
Van Damme. I want Tong Po. Give me Tong Po. It's amazing. He's so bad. They literally could have gotten anyone else, and it would have been a better movie. They could have gotten Bob Hoskins. Could have been Mario and Guile, and it would have been a much better
Guile.
film.
Oh
Bob
God, can you
Hoskins
imagine
was
them
British.
digitizing him and putting him into the game?
I really want, if someone is listening to this, because I cannot code to save my life, but please hack a version of Street Fighter the movie, the game, and include a digitized Bob Hoskins as Guile. That would be the best thing.
At least they had the good sense to take the American flag tattoo off his arm.
Well, sure.
No, they didn't. There's
Yes,
a
they did.
there's a brilliant scene in the movie when he punches M. Bison, and then they show a close
Yeah,
up
doesn't
of
he, like, flex?
his arm,
Yeah.
You're
and he
right.
flexes
That's-
on
I
the
thought he had
American
the
flag
of
tattoo.
Because
No,
he's
it's
not in the
it's
army.
not
He's
the
in
Allied
like
Nations
a
thing.
yeah. He's in
It's-
like an international police force nonsense.
It's an American goddamn flag.
uh,
I must have blocked that out. That's
well,
ridiculous.
and like Chun-Li, the reporter.
Played by Ming-Na.
Yeah. It just...
And the, oh God, the Hawaiian sumo E Honda.
Oh God.
And the short pirate Sagat. Dr. Dalsim.
I'll tell you what, though. I gotta...
Because, he's Indian, and they're doctors.
Absolutely.
This movie is just the most offensive pile of garbage.
But I love it so much. And when it came out, I hated this movie. After I walked out of the theater, I was like, what hell did I watch? But now I watch it, and it is hysterical and mainly because of Raul Julia, because he just walked all over that part, and he was exquisite to look at in this movie. He was obviously having so much fun with it, and it's so great. He is nothing short of magnificent in this film. He just
I was looking up some information on this. This movie had a $35 million budget.
What did they...
Right.
It went all towards
they spent it on that stealth boat.
No. Jean-Claude Van Damme, his salary for the movie was $8 million. So out of their $35 million total to make this movie, $8 million of that went to Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Wait, are you telling me
to not use an American accent?
Raul Julia
worth every
got
penny.
paid less than Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Of course he did. Jean-Claude Van Damme was a giant star at that
He's
point.
also a giant bipolar freaking nutcase now.
Sure, but that changes nothing about the fact that Jean-Claude Van Damme was a massive star. Like, he was a Stallone and Schwarzenegger level star at that point in his career.
Yeah, I mean, he was the box office draw. Like, he was probably part of why the movie even got made. It was, we got to get Van Damme, we got to put him in a Street Fighter movie, and sure, Guile fits, let's do that. I mean, because he can do a flash kick. He's not going to throw an uppercut. So.
He looked the part, he just didn't sound the part.
Well, and what's crazy is that this movie, again, $35 million budget, this movie made $100 million worldwide. This movie is a smashing success. They tripled their investment on this film.
Because when you look at it from, it's like looking at Adam West Batman and thinking, oh, this isn't Batman, he's not wearing black, or it's not dark enough. No, this is
he has eyebrows.
Exactly.
For some goddamn reason.
Yeah, because let's paint those on the bat suit. That shit's important.
But make sure you give him a scowl.
Like, I really hope, just as a little aside, I really hope there's a panel somewhere of, like, Frank Miller's Batman Year One where it's like, yes, that pivotal scene where the bat flies into the window and Bruce Wayne is like, yes, father, I will become a bat. And then there's, like, a little panel that Frank Miller cut that said, I will also paint eyebrows on my bat mask. Like, I really hope that exists.
Well, all right, Street Fighter, I mean, like I said, when this movie came out, I was extraordinarily disappointed. What I was not disappointed with was the other major fighting game movie that came out around the same time, which was Mortal Kombat.
Oh, so good. I love that movie to death. Like,
God, I do too.
It hit everything head on. The characters were good. They had enough gimmicky stuff in it that made it like you wanted to high five the movie screen. I mean, can we just go to let's just skip right into the middle of the fucking movie when Goro and Johnny Cage are fighting and he crushes Johnny Cage's glasses and he delivers that like those are my $5,000 pair of glasses, you asshole. And he does the split kick, punches him right in the balls, and bam, off the cliff, motherfucker. GG.
And then he drops the autographed picture.
It was the best thing ever. Oh my God. So good.
The best thing about the Mortal Kombat movie franchise as a whole was that the very beginning of the second movie, Johnny Cage is killed.
No, the best thing, and I would argue the only good thing about the Mortal Kombat movie, well, there's two. There's two good things about the Mortal Kombat movie. Number one, it introduced the world to Miss Bridget Wilson Sampras before the Sampras part, and she is a delight. And number two, best trailer ever of all time. I still occasionally feel the need to watch that trailer on YouTube.
Yeah, it was a good movie trailer. And you know what else? And not to take away from anything else, I really thought the animatronics. I thought Goro was really impressive in that movie.
He was fantastic. I mean,
that's
really
still some
impressive. His one set of arms was tied to the other set of arms.
It was impressive.
Why why you gotta downplay it, bro? Just
seriously, when he raises
they
one
tied
set
it
of
in an
arms,
impressive knot.
the other set of arms goes. Like the other set of arms doesn't
okay.
move.
All right, I'll tell you what.
They move independently of one another, but
They
for the
most
part,
certainly do not.
they
Go
most
back
certainly
and watch
do.
It.
I have
Absolutely
watched
not.
this movie many times.
You
There
can
are
see
lots of
the
times.
strings.
There is a point in the movie where he picks up somebody with the bottom arms and does something
That's
independently
because
with the top
somebody is
arms.
standing behind him, holding on to the fake pair of arms on the bottom. It's
Then
terrible.
they're not tethered to each other the whole movie.
When he first comes out and he does the big Mortal Kombat and he raises his arms, his second
What
pair
did
of
you-
arms are tied to the first pair of arms.
No, they move all four arms up because what else is he going to do with them? Was he going to start doing a jig with the other two
See the
arms?
strings.
Hopefully.
He's
See the
raising
strings,
his.
Chris?
There aren't
He should've-
strings.
He should have been doing the hand jive underneath of it. Like 2 hands up in the air and the other dude doing the hand jive.
There's also another scene when Goro is talking to Kano in the room where Kano is eating, where Goro is walking. He takes the bottom two arms, folds them, and puts them on his waist, while the other two arms are gesturing while he's talking to Kano. No strings. They moved independently. It was a
Can we-
freaking robot.
damn, Chris dropping some
Can we-
knowledge.
It was a robot,
Seriously. Can we comment on just how rapey Kano is in that
oh,
movie?
100%,
Like,
Oh, man.
like 6,000%.
if you look at that guy, it's like, dude, you are the worst. Like, that is the most perfect casting choice I've ever seen.
Yeah, if you
Because,
wanted
like, the
a
backstory of
scumbag, it's
Kano, yeah, you're like, hey, we need to get a scumbag. Here's this guy over here. He looks like a rapist.
On
Put him
the
in
other
the movie.
side of that
Oh,
coin,
God, he
how
was
about
terrible.
Christopher
He was-
Lambert as Raven?
Oh, so good.
It's so bad.
Yeah, that's not offensive at all.
Oh,
Oh, I
God.
know. Put him in a rice patty hat. That'll be fine.
That's totally cool.
Why isn't
Now
he
he's
Asian?
I don't know.
But
I-
does it matter? Like he hammed it
Yes,
up. It was
yes,
funny.
it matters.
It was funny.
It kind of matters. It was.
kind of matters.
It was. He's Christopher
That would
Lambert's
be
awful.
like-
He hammed it up. I
awful.
liked
That-
it. I thought it was funny.
He's, you know what else? He's a
Through
martial
that
artist, and he
logic-
didn't throw a punch for the entire
dude.
movie.
Because he's a fucking god. He doesn't need to.
But he
Through that
fights in the
logic, though,
game.
Not in this one.
not okay.
All right.
Not
Well. All right.
okay.
What? Well.
Because he was funny is not a good enough reason to be like, we made an Abraham Lincoln movie. We got Chris Rock to play him because he's funny. Like that's just that's not.
I would have watched it. I would have watched it 10 times. They made a Vampire
Yeah, let's
Slayer
not
movie.
lie. I would watch Chris Rock, Abraham Lincoln.
All right, well, speaking of unfortunate casting choices and departure from the original material, I'd like to talk a little bit about a little gem called Wing Commander. Came out in 1999. I personally saw this movie in the theaters because I apparently didn't like myself very much. And I would just like to say that how are you going to go from Mark Hamill, Thomas Biff Wilson, and Malcolm McFrickin-Dowell to Freddie Prinze Jr. and Matthew
You mean
Lillard?
you didn't like She's All That in Space?
No. I will say, as a testament to how terrible the Wing Commander movie is, Wing Commander came out 3 weeks before the original Matrix did. And Wing Commander features a scene which uses the Matrix swirly camera, slow motion, stop in midair thing.
The bullet time.
The bullet time features it 3 weeks before the Matrix movie. Nobody
But
ever
not
remembers
3
that.
weeks before the Matrix movie was made. Because I'm
Well,
certain that Wing
sure.
Commander was made in a weekend, and the
Probably.
Matrix took some
Probably.
time.
And
I
what's-
have never seen
what-
this movie.
Well,
by the
what's
way.
interesting to me is that Wing Commander is Wing Commander the game franchise is often considered one of the best open-ended storyline games. It was certainly one of the first to do. I mean, I would argue that because Wing Commander exists, something like Mass Effect gets to exist because it was one of the first to do the, you know, if you do poorly in this mission, the game fundamentally changes for you, and you get to play a different game than if you had performed well in this mission. And very, very story driven and just phenomenal acting, especially when it got to 3 and 4 with Mark Hamill and Malcolm McDowell. Really good acting, really good storytelling. And what's the most fascinating about the piece of shit that Wing Commander the movie is that it was directed by the creator of the game. Chris Roberts made the movie.
And
I'm
that's
just-
why
I'm
he's a game
baffled.
director and not a film director.
But I could kind of understand it if somebody was like, hey, this Wing Commander thing makes a lot of money. These video game movies are making a lot of money. Somebody make somebody go and do this. I could understand somebody being like, well, I don't really understand this, so I'm going to put this random story thing in here, and I'm going to take this strong female character and make her call sign Sister Sassy, and like, I'm going to do all this ridiculous stuff. But he did all this ridiculous stuff to himself. And like, there's a whole separate storyline where Blair is something called a pilgrim, and that means that he can navigate without his computer navigation system for some reason. And that is apparently Earth-saving or something. And that, like, none of that stuff ever appears in the games before or after. And it just baffles me that somebody could make a game series so good and spend so much time and effort developing a story and then throw all that completely out the window to make just nonsense. Because Wing Commander the movie is nonsense. I mean, there's a couple cool special effects. They do the bullet time thing, and they do it in a kind of a clever way, because when they're like jumping through hyperspace or whatever their terminology is for it, that's when everything slows down. So they do a lot of cool stuff, like let's knock glasses of water over and jump up in the air and then we'll all freeze, and ooh, isn't this neat and interesting, and we've never seen anything like this before. But they had 2 whole games that starred Mark Hamill. Like, how do you mess that up?
Well, what's interesting is that when this movie came out, there was no buzz around the Wing Commander franchise. There actually hadn't been one, I think, in about 4 years by the time this movie came out. And this was not
Wing
a movie
Commander
that anyone asked for.
Well,
and that's what's
Chris
strange
Roberts
about it.
apparently asked for it.
Yeah.
Wing Commander 3 came out 5 years before the movie came out. And Wing Commander 4 came out 2 years before the movie came out. And it did really well. I mean, that series has always done very well. And I just don't understand. I have a lot of questions.
Mark Hamill too busy to do that shit. He's busy being the Joker and stuff. So,
but I tell you, you know what? If you have any interest whatsoever in a Wing Commander movie, the best thing to do is to not see the Wing Commander movie, but instead go on to YouTube and watch the cuts that people have put together from the scenes in 3 and 4. They have edited them together and made a movie out of them, and it is amazing.
Just watch the full motion videos.
So just watch that, because it is really good. Thomas Wilson, I mean, he's phenomenal as Biff, and he will always be Biff in my book, but as Maniac Marshall, he's freaking amazing. It's really good.
Well, I can honestly say I've never seen this movie. I remember when the trailers came out, I had no interest in it because I was never a huge Wing Commander fan. I played the original one on my PC way back in the day, and I thought it was really cool, but I never played any of the ones with Mark Hamill and whatnot in them.
You should give it a shot. They're pretty awesome.
well,
I think I have was it 3 or 4? I have one of them on my on the PlayStation. I should really give that a spin one of these days.
What killed me in particular about it is that at the time, certainly, Wing Commander had some really strong female characters. They had Angel and Spirit, I think, in the beginning, and they were pretty high up. And in fact, Angel, at one point, I think, is your commanding officer. And really strong characters, really good characters, really solid female characters for the time. And no joke, I'm not making this up. The other than the one leader chick that's in the movie, the only other female pilot is a very cool girl, but her call sign is seriously Sister Sassy, and she's a black woman.
Sister Sassy.
And
Wow.
and they call her Sister Sassy. And then they made her make out with Matthew Lillard. I'm like, what are you doing?
Well, they could have called her Mama Sassy,
Yeah.
which
that
would have
would've
just been
What?
offensive.
She was too young.
I
I liked her too, and it
See-
really bothered me that they called her Sister Sassy.
I would like to, if I could, jump into the future here and just go out on a limb. I'm going to make a prediction that apparently, because this story came out in the news this week, that they are in development of an epic sci-fi adaptation of Tetris.
Stop.
Yes, they
And
are.
Stop it.
I
You know
I
what's
just want to
funny?
come out and say that the epic sci-fi adaptation of Tetris was terrible. Am I right, guys? Like, that movie sucked.
I had a friend that said that they're having a really hard time writing the script to Tetris because every time they complete a line, it disappears.
Oh,
You know what though?
I mean-
If they can make a movie out of a board game like Battleship, I guess they could do it for Tetris.
Well,
Why the hell not?
But okay, the battleship thing, like, it was a terrible movie. I'm sure. I didn't see it, but I'm pretty confident.
It's
I saw
awesome.
the trailers and I went, yeah, that looked terrible.
It's awesome.
Awesomely bad
Yes.
or awesome? Okay, awesomely bad.
It's
But at
both.
least- But at least, like, with Battleship, there's
battleships.
There's battleships. Like, there is a movie there, right? I mean, there's plenty of movies that are made
there's
of,
people
like, hey,
on a
let's blow a
battleship.
bunch of shit up. Like, Michael Bay has made his whole career on that. But Tetris is not an epic sci-fi
Of
adventure.
course it is.
It's
Of
not.
course it is.
There's no, it's not.
Look, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, Dan, because this
Okay.
is exactly how I felt when they announced a Lego movie. I said,
Yeah, and that was
really?
amazing.
A Lego movie? There's no plot to Legos. They're bricks. And then the Lego movie happened, and it was outstanding.
That movie pulled in my
Uh-huh.
heartstrings.
That movie was
I love
great.
that movie.
So this is one of those things that's so far out there, that's so bizarre, that until I see it, I'm going to say, you've got an idea? Run with it. See what happens.
No, sure. Because that's the thing. I think we would all agree that we want these movies to be good.
This can be done well, because Wreck-It Ralph is a perfect example of that. I know that that's not based specifically on one game, but it is populated entirely with video game characters that we all know.
Yeah.
And the amount of love that went into Wreck-It Ralph is so apparent. And I think the biggest problem with video games is it's people trying to cash a check twice. It's people saying, look how much money this made the first time in the video game. Let's try to make that much money again in the movie. And I think if they start getting made, and maybe it's going to take some indie development or whatnot, but if they start getting made by people that have the kind of love that the people behind Wreck-It Ralph had, I really think that they don't have to be terrible.
Yeah, I mean, look at comic book movies. Look where they've gone. And you're right about
Right.
Wreck-It Ralph. I mean, that movie was made with real love for those characters. The amount of detail they put into that movie, the scene in the beginning where you watch the arcade age, I was almost in tears. How perfectly put together that was. How a Street Fighter cabinet turned into a Street Fighter 2 cabinet, into a whole room of Street Fighter cabinets, and then to be replaced by Dance Dance Revolution. It was spot on. The way
that broke my heart a little bit.
they had conversations
Ugh.
with Nintendo about Bowser and the way he would hold his coffee in that meeting. There was actual notes back and forth between the studios with how would Zangief talk. You know, how would
And
these
is it
characters?
okay that he leaves his underwear in the bar?
Yeah, like there were conversations about how these characters would interact with one another, and that attention to detail is phenomenal. And
Yeah, there are 180 unique characters in Wreck-It Ralph.
And I mean, the bit with Cubert and Will NPC for food, that was so sad. But, I loved those little touches. I really did. I thought that was great. And what you're saying is absolutely true. And I don't think it's happened yet. I don't think there's been, I can't think of a video game movie that is genuinely good and true to its source material. I mean, Mortal Kombat, it's awesome, but it's not good.
I think that's as close as it gets, is probably Mortal Kombat.
I think it's about time to call it a night. We're going to have to revisit this topic again because there's lots of video game movies we didn't discuss and lots more discussion. I mean, we talked about Mortal Kombat. We didn't even bring up the awesomeness that is Scorpion and Sub-Zero. So,
Or Reptile.
Or Reptile.
When Reptile pops up.
For no
Holy
reason
shit.
at all. That shit was great. It just
Just
says,
out of nowhere.
Reptile. And then
Reptile.
we're fighting, and then he's dead. And it was great.
It was
I loved
amazing.
that. All right. Yeah, we're going to call it a night on this one. Video game movies. There's an interesting future in that. I can't wait to see where they go next. And hopefully, it'll be somewhere good. Hopefully, I don't ever have to see the Angry Birds movie. Hopefully, that franchise goes away and dies in several fires sometime
Probably
in the
not.
not-too-distant
Stella
future.
is doing very well, I heard.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Angry Birds. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. Thank you, everybody, for again being on the show because it's what we do. And it's time to do our regular plugs, to throw our hands into the air and say, watch our things, do our stuff. And I will start by shamelessly plugging my first YouTube video, which is currently resting pretty at like 9 views, I think. I started a YouTube video series where I'm just going to grab random stuff out of my collection and talk about it. And I'm trying to limit it to 5 minutes per episode so that it's easy to watch them, because I tend to drone on and on about things, as you've probably noticed by listening to our podcasts. But it's called Into the Vault. I'm going to be doing one every couple of weeks or so whenever I find the time. I also there's probably a new Lost in Time coming out soon-ish. I was going to talk about Midnight Magic for Atari 2600, which is one of my favorite pinball video games from when I was a kid. And that's about all I have. Who else has got something?
This week there will be a new Why I Love Wrestling article up. Last week there was one. I'm going to try and get back to doing them consistently. This week we'll be focusing on New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is just this amazing collection of talent and ridiculousness. And if you're looking for a good time, watch a Japanese wrestling match with their commentators, even if you don't speak Japanese, because I certainly don't. And it's just amazing to hear the emotion that these guys just throw into these matches. It's just insane. And there'll be some stuff up about New Japan this week.
Which probably means that I will have to be watching New Japan Wrestling all week. So somebody go read it to make it worth me having to do that. Oh, we are on Elo now. If anybody wants to look for us and follow us and noise us and whatever the cool kids are doing now, we're there. It's Geek Life, same way it's spelled everywhere else.
Well, you heard it there. Elo is our new social media platform. You can go ahead and find us on Elo if you want to be the new hipster fad going on. Yeah, for Elo. Anyway, you can get back to us also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. The links will be below for that. You can also check us out on our website, www.g33klife.com. Once again, that's g33klife.com. You can check out all our podcasts there, backlogged episodes. There's all 3 podcasts up there. That is the Geek Philosophers, the Paper Cuts Comic Podcast, and what you're listening to right now, the Stone Age Gamer. Besides that, you can also check out all of our stuff that we're doing on YouTube. Like Chris mentioned, we have the Into the Vault stuff going on. We have more Vestlord Versus stuff going on very, very soon. And we're also going to have some new content going on there very, very shortly. You can also hit us up on our contact us page or throw us an email. I guess I should give you the email first. That's g33klifesite@gmail.com. You can email us about anything you want. If you have any ideas for the show or just want to give us some feedback, you're more than welcome to do that. We love feedback. We love hearing from you guys. So please, by all means, do that. We also have the Contact Us tab on our website at geeklife.com. Besides that, please remember to leave a review on our iTunes page for any of our podcasts, for that matter. If you listen to them, it really helps us know what we could do better. Or if you just like us, please tell people that you like us, and more people should listen to it, because that helps us get out there and helps us spread the word.
Do all those things that Dean said. It's very important.
Oh, wait, one more thing. Happy birthday, Dan.
Aw,
thanks, Dean.
Happy birthday, Dan.
Thanks, Chris.
I already said happy birthday to you. I don't have to.
No, she doesn't.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
It's my
I'm just
favorite
picturing-
power-up. It turns him into a red-headed stepchild.
Oh, Dan.
Hey, aren't you a redheaded stepchild?
No.
Snap.
I'm a dirty blonde there, sir.
Dirty blonde.
Oh, no, it's pretty red.
Strawberry blonde, right?
Strawberry.
Burry.
You redheaded freak.
But
You know what happens when you turn on Super Smash Brothers?
What?
It says the name of the game. It says Super Smash Brothers. Every
It says
time
brothers, like
Super Smash
BROTHERSSSSS?
Brothers. Yes. Because that's the name of the game. It's an abbreviation. You don't say Mer, you say Mister. You don't say Der, you say Doctor. Every time Dean says bros, I want to blow my brains out.
Yeah, Dan's the same way. He really hates the Mario Bros.
God, bros. That's not what it's called. There's a period there. It's not a
Yeah, but-
sentence. An abbreviation.
You're in North Jersey. They are called bros. Ready? Right.
Smash Brothers!